Okay, left. Ooh. Just another day adventure riding. My buddy there on the bike that is getting further and further away from us in a hurry is my buddy Justin. He had just picked up this Honda XR650, which is why he's pulling so quickly away from me. He is much more bike than I am. I'm just on a little C125. This is an interesting road. I've never been out here before, and to be honest with you, I wasn't a try to remember where this was, but we went so many places afterwards, I kind of forgot. But what's funny is we were talking about shooting trails before we came out here, and Justin said he didn't really want to shoot trails yet. So I don't know what his thought of trails is, if this is considered a road. Kind of had a doggy paddle up over everything here, but you know, hey, it's fine. I really probably should have downshifted in the first, but we got it. So I would have loved to show you what happened to that mud bog right there that you were looking at last, but evidently my camera wasn't turned on or something, and I don't have it. So you're just going to have to wait till the return trip back to see what that little bog strip is all about. We may be on vastly different machines, but I'm rather impressed with how little C125 is doing. I am kind of getting danced around in the ruts a little bit here. And it's never fun to get cross-rutted. By now, Justin's long gone. But it's still fun to see that I can kind of, in a sense, get where he can go. I sure as hell can't do it as fast as he can do it. Like right now, I realize I'm kind of just tooling around in first gear. First gear, I can really only get up to about 10 miles an hour, and in second gear, I can get up to about 20 miles an hour. And really, on a lot of these runs of the track, I usually stay in about second gear. I have no idea the speed that Justin cut through this area with. Again, vastly different machines, and as you can see here, some of the differences. We'll cover more of the overall differences in the future, and kind of like how many handful of similarities they have in common, because they are, you know, obviously completely different for different actions. Mine's for more on-road, and maybe having to like hop across the front lawn until I made some modifications and made it a little bit more trail worthy. Where his was pretty much already a dirt bike that they made just as road legal as possible and really haven't changed much since. I have to admit, once again, I'm really impressed with how well all this is handling. I'm going a lot faster than I normally would through some of this stuff. And some things you kind of have to. The sand you have to kind of like just keep pulling through. Second, when you have the time, the spot for it to kind of just have it blast through. But it's jivey. Bikes on the beach. But now the task of trying to get our bikes to stand up on the beach. As I'm mentioning here, I've been trying to start to carry like a wood plank piece with me so that way I can get better footing in areas like this on the center stands. But I forgot that. So I'm going to try to lock up the wheel and wiggle it in, and it didn't work. And while we're doing that, we'll talk a little bit more about the two models of bikes we got here. They're both kind of iconic. The XR model started in late 69, and the Super Cub actually goes back to the 50s. But the styles of the Super Cub hasn't changed, and neither has the XR. But the model that Justin has actually came out in '92, and they haven't changed anything about it since. The the gadgets on it. Everything is way old school analog,
Oh,
which is pretty
look
cool.
at
Even though my
that.
Super Cub has been kind of updated and digitized, that's the one thing they kind of have in
Gotta
common is they're
find
both
something
classic
better than
icons.
those.
The XR model became famous more so in, I believe it was 97, because it was the bike that John Connor used in Terminator 2. Except it was a RX-80, and in some shots, because the stunt double was a bit bigger, they used RX-100. Kind of a little tidbit of information I found when I was digging up all the info for this stuff. Looking around, I found this piece of OSB board for Justin's bike. I mean, we kind of had to wrestle it more level, and I kind of had to use some power thrusting motions to get things to work. And after that, and a little finesse, everything was seated just fine. Um, I mentioned time and time again that this was kind of an area that Justin grew up in, so we just kind of hung out on this little peninsula, and he kind of reminisced about his childhood. It was kind of unique. I'm not going to talk too much more about it because, well, it was his stories and his childhood, and I'm not going to hash out things secondhand because he probably doesn't really want me to. um, and in general, actually, we go through a lot more memory lane type areas, and when reviewing the footage, it's just like people rolling around in a neighborhood, and I have no stories to tell about those neighborhoods because I didn't live that life. That was Justin. But this part of the adventure that we could share, I thought was worth sharing with everybody because it's, I know now, a new memory for me, anyways. There's not too much more to talk about here, actually. Though I'm gonna kind of let the rest of this kind of play out. I chopped it way down. We were out there for quite a while. This is kind of the area where the helmet died out or didn't work or whatever. And he waits for me to go first because he's afraid I'll get stuck in the mud and he doesn't want to lose me, which is quite nice. I don't feel like he has a lot of faith in me and little Super Cub here, but still nice that my buddy's looking out for me. So I have to have a little bit more gusto on this run here, and I believe it's after this run of ruts is actually the true mud area that I just lost on the other one. And I picked a slightly different line, and I think it actually made things a little harder in some spots, but I think it would have been as bad if I would have paid attention to my gearing. That's the other nice thing about being able to watch this again and again for me is I get to kind of pay attention to areas where I should have shifted gears or taken a different line or just in general to learn how to become a better rider. Because I'm going to have to make it being a really skilled rider when I have absolutely no power. Like second gear was just not happening through here. And this is the mud bog spot where it was tricky before, and I was actually cutting more inside the bog, if I could speak, and it was like splitting like in between areas where I could have fell into mud on either side, and I made it, but it was still, I thought this would be the safer route, but it certainly wasn't as much fun, and it was actually, I had to work for it more. I had to do a lot more kind of like quote-unquote doggy paddling through this. Which usually if I'm in first gear, I'm going to be doggy paddling. Again, and I've probably said this too many times, I was really, really impressed with what this the Super Cub could go through. I mean, I guess it's not just the Super Cub anymore. I mean, I guess I call it quote-unquote the Brush Cub. But yeah, I was really, really quite impressed. Or the ending story, or however you want to look at it, of the guy that was stuck up ahead. It's really not funny. I mean, I guess he's okay and everything worked out, but at the time it seemed kind of amusing to me. And we went to, like I said, a few other neighborhoods and really went through some more memories of his. But those are his memories, and I don't know how to convey his memories through a video, so that's where we're going to end it. So thanks for watching as usual, and if you like what you've seen, please subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments. Or you can find me at MeWe. I'm underneath the name Daniel Bohemian. And until next time, take care.